All right. Where do I begin? Where do I start? Welcome everybody. If you've tuned in, this is the first of a series of topics that I'm going to be discussing over the next few months. And Motorbright is a station or a channel, YouTube channel that I started a few months ago when I brought my CF Moto 700 behind me. And I didn't think I would get the response that I did. I never dreamed that I'd be getting, people from Greece, from Italy, from Europe, making inquiries and feedback, America, Indonesia. It's just been such a phenomenon for me because in Australia, this CF Moto, the 700 especially, I've said that before, is not as well known as it is in Europe, and I haven't been able to find other people here in Australia that ride these bikes. There's been a few with the 650 MTs, but although they're similar, they're not the same bikes. And this one's it's a bit more powerful. Actually, it's a lot more powerful, and even some of the parts don't actually fit together. Like for example, in the swing arm, the bolts for the race stand, they're totally different thread. So there's a lot of different things that I'm finding out about this bike that as I go along, and I'm finding out pretty much by trial and error. And I've made some modifications that I've talked about on other YouTube channels, on other videos that I've done on YouTube. And so far so good. Now, look, I'm not a professional speaker, but I'll say it the best way I can. So please forgive me if I'm not speaking too good. But I got this idea that I would just bring, topics up in the cold months. Now, here in Australia, it's coming into winter, right? So we're in autumn. We're heading for winter. The weather's cold now, and a lot of the roads that we normally ride are, they're getting frosty. We're starting to see snow coming now in the weather reports. So actually, the last ride I came home from Jindabyne, I was frozen. I was absolutely frozen. I don't think I was as prepared. I didn't expect it to get that cold, but it was cold, and we had nothing but rain. So everything that went wrong, everything could have gone wrong, pretty much went wrong. So my brother had a nasty accident and pretty much rode off his motorcycle, which was unexpected. So I'm going to be talking about some of these topics like bike preparation, safety gear, how do you prepare for some of these rides? And these are topics that, you talk about off the cuff, like when I say off the cuff in Australian, we just say you just talk about them when you turn up to the pub or when you prepare, to go for a ride with your mates. But when you stop and think, sequentially, like when you stop and think and analyze, like, wow, maybe we missed something. Maybe we should have prepared a bit better. Maybe there's a better way to do things. I think if we share ideas, I think, it'll be more enjoyable and more interesting and more fun. And it's also, motorcycling is a community. There's a lot of people who love motorcycle riding. Now, you might some people like their Harley, some people like their adventure bikes, some people like their sports bikes. And that's fine, or the, adventure bikes, which is pretty much the big thing right now is adventure bikes. Now, these are some of the things that I want to discuss and, share ideas and, get a bit of feedback and, suggestions from how you would do things better. It's not about me telling you what I do. I can only say, I can talk about what we do or what I do. And if you think that, you might have a better way of doing things, you might have some software ideas, you could have all sorts of, a myriad of ideas. So when I started thinking about this, I thought, wow, I'll just talk about setting up the bike, and then I got all these ideas, and I just wrote some things down, and here's just a list of some of the things that I just jotted down. I thought, well, before a ride, how do you prepare for a bike? Like, what's the setup? How do you prepare your bike? Your tires, your pressures, luggage options. Your hard luggage or your soft luggage, your bags. How do you prepare all that sort of stuff? What do you take in consideration? I thought, well, what about tools? These are things that tools. You think, oh, we'll take a few basic tools, right? And that'll be it. When I went to Jindabyne last, I actually had a problem with my handlebars. Now, basically, when you stand up to stretch your legs on the handlebars, you put all your weight on the bars, and what used to happen without me realizing was the bars would move slightly. They'd go down, and I thought, why is this happening? So when I got to Jindabyne, the actual bars had moved quite a fair bit. So I went to use my my toolkit, my Allen key set, and I had the wrong size toolkit, the wrong size Allen keys. So I thought, wow. So a big shout out to the store next to BP service station in Jindabyne. There was a young guy, Jay. He lent me his Allen keys and he saved the day. So I was able to fix the bars, thankfully for that. So these are some of the things that, you got to ask yourself, what do I pack? I mean, bikes are cars. You can't pack a lot of tools. So what are some of the basics, you got to have the right couple of Allen keys. Do you have a, shifter? Do you have, all these sort of things like, pliers, all this sort of stuff, right? So the other thing too was a tire repair kit. Now, I've seen it on a lot of YouTube channels, especially on the off-road brigade. The people who go off-road, they usually carry levers and tubes and all this sort of stuff. Now, I've never had to experience that, but recently in my car, in the middle of the rain, I got a flat tire. I actually picked up a screw at my brother's house, and the screw just lodged in a brand new tires. Now you can imagine, now it's a Ute, it's a SsangYong Musso, and now to get the reserve the tire, it's underneath, and you've got to unscrew it, lower it, and it's bucketing rain. Now can you imagine trying to do that? And I actually ended up getting a very bad cold out of that. So what saved me was going to the petrol station or the service station, whatever you call it in your country, and lucky they were selling these cheap tire repair kits. The ones with the hand drill and also the hand bit, and thank God I was able to repair my tire with that plug and the glue, and it saved me in the car, and I was able to drive back 300-400 kilometers back home to where I live from Melbourne, and as it turned out, the actual tire repair kit's still holding out really good. So that was for the car. Now, having experienced that, if I was to go out next time, I will take one of these tire repair kits, whatever it costs, $5, $10, $20, and I'll make sure I've got one religiously. I will have one in my kit, because the fact that you could be in the middle of nowhere on a motorcycle, you could be out of range, you could be all alone, you could be in the wet, the weather, whatever, and if you were to get a flat tire, it would be the worst experience to wait around for help. And sure, you might be able to get help eventually, but man, I tell you, I would just dread that happening. So, tire repair kit, and also one thing that I actually brought recently was a portable pump. It's only the size of a. Now look, I know I'm only touching on these topics, right? I'm only just hitting the surface. I will go in detail in every one of these topics, I promise you, because I just can't fit everything in onto one video. Now, I brought a little Ozito tire pump, which is basically the size of a power bank, and it actually pumps your tire, and it fits neatly into your luggage. Now, I take that with me. I took it with me last time, and I would take it with me religiously, because it is a must. Now, I know a lot of the motorcycle tire repair kits have those gas cylinders. They're very small and compact. Sure, you could use them, but having one of these pumps is just a no-brainer. They're fantastic, and they're light, and they're very compact to pack. So another thing too that I also took with me when I went on the last trip, I took some rope with me. I didn't tell the other guys because they probably thought I was stupid or whatnot, but I took rope because I thought, I had the foresight to think, if someone goes over the edge or over a cliff and we need to get someone out, we might just have to tie the rope to one of the bikes and basically tow a bike out. Because that's happened to me when I first started riding. The first accident I had was I went off the ledge down at Kangaroo Grand, I think it was, and Panton Hill, all those places down in Melbourne. When I first got my license back in the 80s, I went for a ride. I was trying to keep up with the other more experienced riders, and I ended up going off the edge, and my bike went down the embankment. It was just a nightmare. So now I just pack a rope that I haven't got it with me to show you, but a little bit of rope just in case we have to tow your bike or get someone out of a ditch. So anyway, moving along. I don't want to get stuck on all that. on the topics, but I don't want to be talking too much about in depth all the topics today. I'm just going to be touching on them, and I really appreciate your feedback. I really appreciate the questions I've been getting, especially for the CF Moto. I've been getting some really good questions, and I'll just talk about them a bit more at the end of the video, but I'll just keep going, and. I've just found it a really interesting some of the feedback I've been getting on my videos. But anyway, the other thing I was going to talk about was helmets. Now I like open face helmets. I've got a fat face. I'm a 3XL on a helmet, and even though they're 3XL on different brands, they still could be really tight. I had the communication thing on there, but it was just so tight it was damaging my ears. So I ripped everything out. Now, if you're smaller than that, well, you're lucky. You can fit your communication Bluetooth gear in there and no problem. But my preference, I do like the open face helmets. But again, if you're going to do a long trip and you're going to go different, different weather, maybe a modular or something like that would be more suitable. It's just some of us have trouble getting our size. I've got a really big head, and it's 3XL. And getting the right size is really difficult for me. So, the other thing too that I've discovered is that with these new helmets, you can get these little, for example, your helmets. Some of them come with a little strip, a silicon coated, a bit that fits on the inside of your helmet, so you don't fog up. And I only put it on last night. I should have done it on the last trip. I didn't think. Because it was just the cold and the ice was just fogging up my helmet no matter what I did. And stupid me, I was riding with the visor open. And these are things you don't know about, you don't even think about, right? Because I was riding with the visor open so long, the next few days my eyes were so sore. My eyes were so irritated. I never would have thought that. But yeah, I was just really painfully sore, my eyes. And I did end up with a bad cold. But that's another story. So, I want to touch on the helmets, and I want to touch on the type of riding gear that you wear in your country. Like here in Australia, say for example, now I'm just wearing a touring suit or, just a touring jacket. Like, you can get the RSTs or your Oxfords or your Alpine Stars, depending, how much you want to spend. It's, dry rider jackets, that sort of thing, or leathers. I used to wear leathers when I was younger. But I'm so fat now, I'm a bit overweight, it's very hard to get your size and whatnot. So I'm opting for these different, synthetic materials. That, there's such a variety now. So and they're pretty well priced. I've got to say, I can't complain. The prices are pretty good if you start down at your lower end like RST and even some of the Oxford brands, dry riders, you've got some good pricing. Then you go up to your Alpine Stars and all that sort of stuff, which gets a bit too expensive, I think. And I can't see I shouldn't comment on brands, but, I guess it's all what you want, what you can afford. So we'll talk about riding gear down the track, boots and riding gear. I think that's something that's really important. And also, the other thing too that I never even thought about. These are some of the topics that only after sitting down and thinking about all the things that I've been through, I thought, what about planning? Do you plan a ride? Do you plan your stops? Now, I never took that into account. I'll just get on the bike and just ride. But when you're riding in a group, thankfully, my cousin Jim and Uncle Theo, they obviously put some effort into planning. They would, go through the Google Maps and print out a map so you've got an idea where you're going. That's something was unheard of back in the 80s and 90s. We never had Google Maps. We only had the, proper paper maps, really. Not even navigation on your phone. All these Garmin devices now that are being used. Now my brother uses the Garmin navigator, fantastic. Everyone's using these things, and also their beacons, their Garmin, like their little safety beacons. If they fall over or whatever, they need to get someone. They've got these, like EPIRBs type of things on the bikes, like you get out and if you sink a boat or something. So there's all these little gadgets that are out and available that I never thought of. I never even took into consideration. So these are some of the things that I want to be discussing down the track over the next few weeks. I might have to get some other people to comment as well. But you know, again, I appreciate your feedback. If you've got topics that I've missed, you know, feel free to drop a line or send something, you know, in the comments, and I'll look at it. Now, the other thing too is, sure, if you go for a ride by yourself, you can go wherever you want. You know, if it's just one bike, it's not a problem. You can plan your ride, no issue. But when you're planning a trip, for example, say you want to go. Now I live in Albury. You know, my other riding mates are in Melbourne, so we have to sit and sort of collaborate where we're going to meet. You know, there has to be some sort of collaboration. You know, and consideration for some riders might not be able to do certain things. Other riders may. You know, these are all the things that you've got to take into consideration. So, you know, do you sit down and work out who's going to carry what on their luggage? If someone's going to carry the rope, someone's going to carry the fuel. If someone, you know, if you're going a long distance, is someone going to carry certain tools or rain gear? You know, things like that. Or are you going to meet up somewhere at a certain point, certain time? So collaboration is something that I wouldn't even have considered. You know, it just came automatically. You'd sit down with your friends and have a chat about what you're going to do for a ride. Now, since YouTube came along, I've been watching so many other guys, YouTube channels, and I think, wow, they're great. Some of the locations I've ridden, and as soon as you go like to the Alpine Way or the Snowy Mountains Highway, you think, wow, you know, I've been there. You know, it's you know, you're sort of living it again. You sort of think, wow. So YouTube's been really great for not just motorcycling, but for a lot of other people to share their experiences. And you know, sometimes we can't go to a certain place, but someone will go on a car or a motorcycle, and you can sort of get a feel for the place. Like, I want to go to northern New South Wales or northern Queensland, and although I've never been that past Cairns and Port Douglas, you know, you look at some of the videos of people who've gone up to Cooktown and up to the Cape Trip and, you know, right up to the Cape York, and you know, you get a feel for the place. So YouTube's been great. It's been fantastic, I think. Now, one of the topics that I didn't really want to talk about, but I think we should. You know, accidents. You know, sometimes when you're riding, one thing that happened on our last trip was, you know, some people in our group probably wanted to keep up and be in front and all that sort of stuff. You know, I don't know, you know, most people, everyone knows their order, you know, like they know their limits, they know their order. But in some cases, do you have riders that come with you for a ride and they don't know their place? There's been some occasions where one of my brother's friends had a nasty accident, actually shattered his collarbone, and he had just got back into riding and bought a big 1000 V-Strom, and I think the bike was just too much for his experience level. And as it turned out, you know, I saw some of the footage on the first trip they went, and you could see the guy was just pushing too hard and literally coming, you know, running wide on the road. So, you know, and then a ride later, he actually came off his bike and shattered his collarbone. Was just literally a jigsaw puzzle. So, and it's still months later, it's still you know, struggling to recover. He's in a lot of pain, and obviously it affects your mental health. And he was running a business, so accidents are something you need to talk about. Now, since that, my brother in his wisdom went and brought all these hard protective gear underneath your jackets, and then he brought the recent, I think it's Alpine Star, make these airbags that deploy once you have an accident, and which actually got used when we went to Jindabyne the last trip. If you see that video, man down in Jindabyne, literally we were riding all day in the rain, and just as we were coming into Jindabyne, literally just, you know, a few k's out of Jindabyne, there was a stretch there where it was extremely slippery on a straight road, and even the tow truck driver said that he'd picked up about 3 bikes in that stretch of road. So whether that was diesel on the road and the rain spread it out, whether that was oil or some other substance or chemical on the road, it really was. You could notice it. Like, we were exhausted, and we were struggling to stay, you know, upright. It was really cold, wet, and slippery. and unfortunately, Evan was excuse excuse me. It's getting cold out here in the garage, and I have to put the heater on. So anyway, my brother was trying to pretty much catch up with the group, and maybe he was pushing it a little bit hard, but he came unstuck on a stretcher road that was just straight, and I thank God that he didn't go off the edge. He just went straight, literally scraped his bike straight along the road, and he didn't get run over by another car, and he was wearing those airbags underneath his jackets, those Alpine Stars, and one of the tubes did deploy, and thankfully, apart from some severe bruising, he was okay. The bike's a write-off, so he had to, we had no idea what to do, being 300 something kilometers, no way home, no options. So as it turned out, he caught a bus to Canberra, and from Canberra he took a flight back to Melbourne, and that's how he got home. But thankfully he wasn't hospitalised. Thankfully he was all right, and the safety, thank God everything worked out okay. The bike, obviously it was a write-off, and sadly, but these are some of the things you've got to think about. If I'm going into a remote place, what do I do if something goes wrong? Do I have a first aid kit? Do I have repairs? Toolkit? What? All the other bikes are all packed to the hilt, so it's not easy to put someone on the back of your bike and ride home. Okay, so these are some of the things that we need to. These are some of the things that we need to talk about, and as much as I hate to talk about accidents and possible scenarios where your bike breaks down somewhere. What do you do? How do you prepare for that? Is there any thing you can do? Or just leave it and hope for the best? That was really, something that really makes you think. When we came back, I was thinking, what if? And I'm sure Evan did as well. He was thinking, what if this and what if, and all the possibilities. And if only I went a little bit slower, who knows? If only I didn't, but it was pretty bad. It was, it was just really put a damper on things. So these are some of the topics that I'll be discussing as next few weeks. But what I'm going to say towards the end, I really want to appreciate your feedback. Now, I know I'm in Australia. I'm in a place called Albury, and from Albury, there's a lot of places that you can ride from, especially, you can go to the Snowy Mountains, the Alpine Way, Grania. There's so many good roads out this way, and a lot of people seem to come up from Melbourne and also from the north, from Queensland, and they ride the Northern Victorian roads and the Snowy Mountains and all that. But being winter now, I'm sure there won't be too much of that happening. So where could you go in these winter months? Where are places you could take your bike for a spin for a day or two or maybe more? These are some of the things that if you've got some feedback or some suggestions or some of the things you want me to talk about, please just comment in the comment section. And as I said earlier, I've had a lot of people from Europe making comments, and USA, Asia, and Australia. Not so much Australia, but mainly from Europe, especially with this particular bike behind me. Now, there's been some, topics like fuel consumption. For some reason in Europe, there's a higher fuel consumption now. I don't know if that's because of Euro 5 emissions. I don't know if it's the fuel is different in the European countries. I don't know. But in Australia, I'm getting better fuel economy than some of these Asian countries, European countries. Now, Asia, I haven't had a lot of feedback from Asia, but I had a few comments from Indonesia, Malaysia, and also from the States. Now, I know in Italy as well, we've had a lot of viewers from Italy, just looking at my statistics. And even the UK, a lot of people have enjoyed the roads and just some of the rides I've done. So that's been really, it's actually quite encouraging. So, I'll be doing as much as I can, as much as I can film. Now, I'm in the process. I'm waiting to do a bit of surgery and, getting a bit of metal put in my body. And I shouldn't really be riding, but you know how it is when you love adventure. Before dementia or whatever, you still got to ride. So, and the other thing too is the 450 MT, the Chinese bike, the CF Moto MT450 is out. It's been released in the Philippines. They did a big launch, and look, I can't wait to get one. I'm actually wanting to get one. So I hope that'll happen later on in the year or in the next few months. I know it's a less powerful bike, but it just seems to me like a really good tourer, a light tourer. You know, in the like the Himalayan, the Royal Enfield Himalayan that's come out. It's sort of in that category. You know, a lot of older blokes are buying like the 390 KTM's, I've heard, and as a second bike. So that's something to look look at as well. Now, excuse me, I just had dinner. Now the temperature's dropping in my garage, so I'll have to go inside and get dressed in a minute. But before I finish, look, I've got the CF Moto that I've done all my videos on, and I've been having heaps of comments on it. And I've tried to answer everything as best I can with videos and opinions and everything else. And the feedback's been pretty good generally. I haven't had any issues, but if you've done some modifications or you can get parts somewhere, like for example racks, I've struggled to get a decent rack here in Australia, but I finally I got a cheap one from AliExpress, but this week I placed an order for the proper CF Moto rack on AliExpress, and you can get it cheaper, and you can finally get it online. So I've got that on order. I want to put my top box on this bike. And these are some of the things that I've been going through with the CF Moto 700. There's no groups in Facebook. There's no YouTube videos on CF Moto in Australia. There's nothing. So it's pretty much myself and I that's been doing these videos. I know with the 800, there's a few videos on YouTube. The 800 MT, it's a great bike, by the way. I almost brought the 800 MT, I've got to say. It was a really nice bike, but I was a bit intimidated with everything, and I really love the looks of this bike. I just love the looks of this particular bike, and not so much the price, but it was just a nice looking. I find this a really sexy looking bike, and so I went for this one, the MT700. It's not as powerful as the 800, of course, but you know what? It goes good. I can't complain. And some of the things that people have been talking about, like the thermo fans come on really quick. This motor just runs hot. That's just how they've designed it. Don't forget, it's not flesh and blood. It's all metal. So don't worry if it runs hot. I'm sure it runs good when it's hot. I think it probably runs better when it's warm. So don't panic, people. And also, little things like the noise on the TFT cowl. I've had a bit of feedback with that. I've done a couple of videos, but in the end, the only solution I had was the elastic. There's a black elastic band that I've wrapped around where the screen goes and the actual TFT bit, and that sort of seems to settle the noise down. But the other thing I didn't talk about was camera mounts. Now, if you notice on my videos, I've got the camera, the Insta360, out in front and just looking back at me, and what works best, what doesn't work, all these things. I'll be talking about camera mounts as well, and filming on the bike, because a lot of people just they just put the video, they put the GoPro in front, and all you see is the front, and that's it. No, where are we? No, nothing. And whereas the types of cameras that you use on board make a huge difference to the videos. I like my videos. I'm not trying to be boasting or whatever. There's no special effects, but I just love the camera angles, especially when it's out front facing yourself. From the rear, I don't like those shots. I don't like the shots from the rear for some reason. I find them a bit boring, and I just don't like them. I just find from the front with an Insta360, you can circle it around to view the front, view the back. It just works well. Now, I think I've said enough today. As I said, I've got so much to speak about on, and I want to just make this. This is the first segment, and I want to talk more, and maybe if we can get guests or people's opinions, and if you want to send your comments through, I'll read about it on the next one. If you've got suggestions on any of the topics that I've mentioned, whether it be luggage, whether it be even suspension. I didn't really touch on suspension. That was one thing that this particular bike, I really would have preferred a heavier spring on this bike, because I'm about 120 kilos before I put clothes on. So if there's anyone that can that does that sort of stuff, for a bike like this. You know, where could you go? Where could you get these sort of modifications done? So these are all topics that I've just got so much to discuss. But anyway, look, thanks for watching. If you've watched so far, and if you've got comments, look, feel free, send them through. Really appreciate it, guys. And that's it from me. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.